In the workplace, people are problem solving all day long. One of the things about mind resilience is that you have to be able to roll with the punches. So there's always going to be things when people come in that are struggling with life events and adversity and trauma that are going to be unexpected. So if you have a certain amount of things that you want to accomplish in the day, there's a guarantee that that is going to be thrown through a loop at some point. Now, I think that the other parts of problem solving within organizations is really working with your coworkers, with the administration, of being able to go and get supervision and support from other people when you really are feeling either one, you don't know how to solve a problem, or that the problems are so intense that you really need to have somebody to be able to help you sort that out.
What really is the issue? What is the real problem that's getting us anxious or getting us concerned? And trying, again, to think about how to problem solve that. And I think there are different ways to do that.
Asking for help is a big concern for people in the field at times, because you don't want to feel like you don't know what you're doing, or that somehow you should have already known something. And so even though we're asking people to come in and receive help from us all the time, I think that it's very difficult sometimes for us to be able to do the same thing.
I think especially in cultures that emphasize independence and autonomy, one of the downsides can be that we have this sense of, if I can't solve it all myself, figure it out all myself, there's something wrong, that there's some weakness there. And the reality is that we're all interdependent and we're all connected, and we can't all know how to do, any one of us know how to do everything. And so there are people around us who have more expertise, more knowledge, or maybe just have some distance, have some perspective because they're not immersed in the problem. So I think, getting to a point where you feel like you're feeling hopeless or feel like you're just not sure what to do, I think it can be really helpful to reach out and to find out, how would somebody else look at this? What would somebody else recommend?
My day is full of problem solving. And so part of that problem solving process becomes, prioritizing the problem solving, and to really look at, one that comes to mind recently. We had to kind of step back, the staff and I, and really think about our role in the case, and remember that we are not the case managers. What could have been possible frustration could have been, problematic had we tried to do things that really weren't within our scope, and to really appropriately delegate those things to the folks that could do, that level, and for us to really step back and have the broader view, because that's where our expertise is.
And a lot of what we try to do in our programs is try to teach, promote creative problem solving. Come up with a list. Don't evaluate it right now. Come up with a big list of solutions. What else can I do? And so I think a lot of it is thinking flexibly, trying to think creatively about different ideas, and that sense of perseverance, keeping that goal in mind, and not just trying one or two things, but trying a few things. And so I think that's really important for problem solving.
Sometimes it's not so much that the horizon shifts, but helping staff realize that our perspective of the horizon has to shift. Also, helping people come up with measurable, practical, concrete things that they can do, so it's not so abstract. It's a very, very critical piece of the problem solving.
Learning from mistakes, learning from what goes wrong, looking back at situations and not beating ourselves up or beating other people up, but trying to think about, what can I take from this? Was there a kernel of truth or something helpful I can take from this? The other thing that I think gets a little less emphasis, but I think is really important, is learning from what goes well. And so that when we're problem solving, learning from problems I've solved in the past, and how did I handle that? Well, this is a similar situation. Is there something that I learned from this past experience that might help me here? And so I think that we often, I think that in our culture we often hear, let's learn from our mistakes, and I think that's really valuable. But I think that oftentimes we don't hear about learning from what went well. And I think that's also probably equally valuable to look at what we've done and look at how other people solve the situation.